Welcome to Milan Fintech Summit 2023. We are here from Milan, Allianz MiCo. In this moment, we are in the Unicorn Tales column, the place where we're talking about unicorn in fintech. So in this moment, we are together with Giorgio Berardi, who is a strategy director at Satispay. Thank you for being with us, Giorgio.
Thank you, Matteo.
So in this column, we want to talk about the story of Satispay and the evolutionary process that brings Satispay to become a unicorn. So 10 years ago, Satispay was founded. Today is more or less the first year as a unicorn. What does it mean for you as a company, obviously, and how the market changed in these 10 years?
So for us, it's of course an honor to be a unicorn. It means that investors support Satispay and believe in the story. But we don't really look at that statement or that stigma of being unicorn. For us, it's more important because it helps us with hiring, with visibility, with merchant acceptance, with consumer acceptance, etc. So that is definitely what we strive towards, to become the best payment method possible. And therefore, that is also why Satispay was created. Going back to your question, why it was created 10 years ago by Alberto, Dario, and Samuele, because they saw that the payments industry was extremely inefficient. If you see how a payments is done, it basically goes through many different steps. What we wanted to do was to build a three-party model, where Satispay is in, and then you have consumer and merchant on the other side. How was this possible? Was thanks to also the regulator, also the European Union, that with the introduction of PSD 1 and 2, basically created the SEPA, the Single Euro Payments Area, which allowed us and other companies to communicate with any bank account in Europe with one single message.
No, and under this point of view, according your vision today, how the payment market is changing and what could be the role today of Satispay as a unicorn, as a big player, a big Italian player in fintech industry?
So the market is changing a lot because we see that it's moving away from cash. That is the first thing that is very clear to everyone. Now, digital payments transactions are more or less 50% of total payments. Until a few years ago, they were like 20%. So there has been a very big decrease in the use of cash. Also accelerated by COVID. During COVID, people didn't want to use cash because people felt it was unsafe, and therefore that's where payment methods like contactless or like mobile payments were developed, and Satispay one of those. We are really proud to be the most used mobile payment method in Italy, and now we're also moving into France and Luxembourg, and therefore we want to be a European payment method.
So this is interesting because even if the market was changed a lot, your focus remained the same. So what does it mean for you in terms of Satispay to remain focused on the payments and to put at the center merchants and the users and consumers?
I think that's the key of our success. I think that when a company starts growing and also gets a lot of funding from investors, etc., the risk is that you get distracted. You get distracted and you want to do many things. But I think that our strength was being focused. We wanted to be focused to build a payment network, not striving to adding other services or stuff that are not related to payments. Everything we want to do is build payment methods. And then what we can do afterwards is add things on top. But that comes after. I think before, we need to become the best payment method.
So, however, the regulations changed also the framework in which you were moving and you are moving today. So, according to you, what are the priorities, the challenges, and maybe also the opportunities coming from these transformations, these evolutions of regulations in terms of European regulations, but also Italian regulations about financial services, payments, fintech in general?
So for us, the biggest challenge, we actually announced it a couple of weeks ago, is a new product, is a meal voucher product. Is something we really believe is super inherent to what Satispay is, because it basically is an additional 20 payments that a consumer does during a month. But it's also an industry that needed a lot of change, that needed to be disrupted, because it was an old industry dominated by French players in Italy, charging merchants a lot, like really a lot. So what we wanted to do was create a product that was fair for the merchant, was ethic, and there is a huge opportunity also because, for example, in Italy, only 4 million employees overall receive meal vouchers, even though they are tax-free, and therefore there is a tax benefit for the employer. There are 25 million employees in total in Italy. So the market opportunity is huge. And what I think companies want is something easy and simple to use. And many of these companies didn't give meal vouchers to their employees because it was difficult. It was not understood. And Satispay can be that product that makes it easier for everyone.
So obviously we know that technology will help this process and also your business model, because technology today is maybe the best driver we focus on in order to grow also in terms of economy, in terms of business growth. But what are the next steps? Because you talked about the world of labor, of work. That is also another trend we can see also in these days in Milan Fintech Summit, because we talked before in terms of welfare, for example, there are a lot of evolutions. So what are the next steps according to you?
I think you touched a very interesting point, which is welfare. And what we've always believed that welfare was going to be the next big thing. That's why a couple of years ago we acquired Advisorit, which was an Italian startup that was operating in the welfare space. We used that knowledge to then launch our meal vouchers, but the next step is definitely the wider welfare industry. It's an industry that in Italy and in Europe is definitely going to grow because governments cannot take care anymore of the whole of the welfare of the people, and so what they need is they need the help of companies, and that's why we see a huge growth in fringe benefits, meal vouchers, etc. So these are all welfare parts that make up the whole industry.
So this could be also next steps in terms of your mission, your vision. So merge the merchants and the consumers and help companies to make better the people's lives. So it's very interesting. Thank you for your spotlights, your advices, and for being with us today.
Thank you very much.